Welcome. Today, we're exploring the practice of Yoni massage, which is a topic deeply rooted in some really ancient traditions. We're going to break down its philosophy, the preparation, and the core techniques, all based on our source material. So let's just dive right in. Okay, so to get started, let's define the most important term here. Our source explains that yoni is a Sanskrit word, and right away that tells you something pretty significant. This isn't a clinical, detached term. It's one that's packed with meaning, like source of all life or sacred space. That translation really sets the stage for the whole philosophy we're about to explore. And this quote from our source just drives that point home. By framing the practice within Tantra, or what's called sacred sexuality, the focus immediately shifts to one of respect and honor. And, holding on to that perspective is absolutely crucial for understanding the real intention behind every technique we're going to talk about. So, here's how we'll break it all down. First, we'll start with that foundational concept. Then, we'll uncover the goal of the practice, which, by the way, might not be what you think. From there, we'll get into the practical side of things, like preparation and the key massage techniques, before we finally explore the creative, intuitive spirit that really ties it all together. So, to kick things off, everything really starts with that foundational concept, viewing the yoni as a sacred space. But what this perspective truly changes is the goal of the experience itself. And this brings us to a major shift from how a lot of people might view sexual activity. Our source material is really clear that in yoni massage, the primary goal, well, it isn't what you probably expect. Here it is. The core mindset shift. It's this move away from goal-oriented pleasure, where the whole focus is on achieving one specific outcome, and a move toward experience-oriented pleasure. The emphasis completely shifts to the journey itself, to things like surrender, breath, and the simple act of just letting go. So, if orgasm isn't the main objective, then what is? Well, the source points to these much deeper intentions, allowing someone to surrender, experiencing new kinds of pleasure, using sound for healing, and broadening what it calls the heart and sex energy centers, which is really about connecting emotional and physical sensation. It's all about mindfully paying attention to and affirming what feels good. Okay, now let's switch gears to the practical side. How do you actually prepare for this experience? Our source gives some really clear guidance on creating an environment that's just built for focus and total relaxation. The first step is so simple, but it's really powerful. Get rid of the distraction of time. By setting an alarm for, say, 30 minutes, you create this protected little bubble where the mind can be completely present without ever having to worry about the clock. Our source lays out a pretty specific warm-up sequence. It starts with lubricant and some deep breathing, and then it moves to massaging areas like the belly, the legs, and the pelvic crease. This slow, intentional progression is designed to mindfully build up relaxation and arousal before any direct contact. So, once the body is relaxed and warm, we can move into the massage itself. Our source gives us 5 foundational techniques, and they're described as a starting point for exploring all kinds of different touch and stimulation. The first technique is called circling. This is about using a fingertip to make circles around the clitoris. The key here, according to the source, is variation. The whole idea is to play with both the size of the circles and the amount of pressure to discover what feels best and just gently build arousal. Next up, we have pushing and pulling. This motion involves applying some gentle pressure and then sliding a finger down the sides of the clitoral shaft. And our source makes a great point here. Sensitivity can be different on each side, so, mindful exploration is definitely encouraged. The third technique is tugging and rolling. Now, this one is all about introducing a different type of sensation. You gently pull the clitoris away from the body and then roll it between your thumb and index finger. It's a totally different kind of movement than the first two. Fourth is tapping. The suggestion here is to use one or more fingers to tap the clitoris, almost like you're playing a tiny drum. The goal is just to experiment with different rhythms, from fast and energetic to slow and gentle, to see what the body really responds to. And the final technique in the source material shifts to internal massage, focusing on the G-spot. This involves using curved fingers in a come-hither motion to gently stimulate that spongy area inside the vagina. And this is a super crucial point. These 5 techniques are not a rigid step-by-step program. The source explicitly says to mix them up
move between them, and even bring in other erogenous zones like the nipples to create a truly holistic experience.
So after hearing about all these specific movements, circling, tapping, rolling, you might be wondering, okay, is this a strict formula? Do you have to follow these steps exactly? Well, that question leads us perfectly into our final section, which really captures the core philosophy of this whole practice. It's this idea that these techniques are just a foundation. They're not some restrictive set of rules. And this right here, this is the ultimate takeaway. The source wraps it up by saying that these techniques are merely suggestions. They're meant to inspire intimate engagement. The final and most important instruction is simply this: feel free to get creative. Because ultimately, that's what this practice is all about: intuitive, personal exploration.